Hi, James with the 1HourSmartHome.com, and today we're here to talk to you about how to keep your pipes from freezing. It is freezing, it's cold, it's wintertime here in Chicago, and every year thousands of people have their pipes freeze and burst. And I just want to give you a couple tips to prevent your pipes from freezing. The number one that I've got up here is obviously we do smart homes, but is a smart thermostat. And there's a couple reasons why I recommend a smart thermostat. Now, it could be Nest, it could be Ecobee. There's tons of different smart thermostats out there on the market. This is a Nest. This is what I have in my home. However, any of them will be better than nothing. And the reason is that let's say you're on vacation and the temperature dips way down to like -5 degrees, or even you're at work and the temperature dips down. With a smart thermostat, you can turn up the temperature remotely to prevent your pipes from freezing. So even if it gets super cold, you can turn up that heat and immediately get hot air coming out to prevent your pipes from completely freezing, even in a really cold situation. The other reason that I like smart thermostats that can keep your pipes from freezing, and this goes with number two, is because a lot of them have smart sensors. So the Nest or Ecobee have these smart temperature sensors. And you can put these in areas where you might have pipes freeze, like near an exterior wall that you've got pipes in, or underneath your kitchen cabinet. A lot of times people have pipes freeze there for two reasons. The first reason is that usually it's an exterior wall. So it's going to get colder than an interior wall, and those pipes can freeze. The other reason that a lot of pipes will freeze in kitchen sinks or underneath the kitchen sink is oftentimes that's where you have a tap for a small water line for like your refrigerator, ice maker, or water maker. And those are super, super teeny tiny lines that are super easy to freeze because they're only, like a 1/2 inch or a 1/4 inch or 3/8 of an inch. And they freeze much quicker than a larger diameter pipe. So you can put these underneath a sink and monitor the temperature and say, oh, hey, even though it's 70 degrees in my house, underneath the kitchen cabinet, it's only 38 degrees. I'm getting close to my pipes freezing, and you can prevent that. And I have seen tons of houses where that teeny little tiny water line for a refrigerator is the reason that causes thousands of dollars of damage and headaches because it freezes so easily. It's so small and easy to freeze because it has very little amount of flow in it most of the time, and it's such a small diameter, it freezes quick. The number three one is insulate. Okay, and obviously you should insulate your pipes when possible, but a lot of times pipes are behind walls already and you can't insulate them. The other issue with insulating pipes is it takes a lot of time and effort, and it will never get the temperature up in your house. So you can't take an active measure with insulation. It's too late when it's already cold. You can't just go to Home Depot, leave for an hour, come back and insulate your pipes and hope that that's going to stop your problem. Whereas with a smart thermostat or smart sensor, you can immediately take action and prevent your pipes from freezing, which is why I like them. They're active measures to prevent your pipes from freezing. The other issue with insulation is that it can get really expensive and it can be really hard to do properly. Like a lot of people will put some insulation up in a couple places, but then they'll have a gap of 2 or 3 inches, or they won't insulate around a bend in a pipe. And that doesn't protect the entire pipe from freezing. You could still have the pipe freeze in that teeny little area there. And if it gets cold enough, even if you have insulation, that pipe can still freeze. So it's a good option, but it can be expensive. If you're building a new house, obviously insulate your pipes. That's the easiest solution. But if you have an existing house, it's a lot harder done than when you actually are just thinking about it. Number 4, this doesn't cost anything at all. Open up your cabinets. In really cold days, if you have exterior piping behind that kitchen sink or in a cabinet or even maybe a bathroom sink, you've got a vanity underneath. If it's super cold, open up the cabinet so that hot air from inside the house can circulate back there and warm everything up to prevent the pipes from freezing. Number 5, slow drip your water faucet. So this does help because it gets the water flowing. And if you just leave your faucet on a really, really slow drip, that can prevent it from freezing, but also let you know that if it stops dripping, your pipes are frozen and you need to do something. So in super cold scenarios, a slow drip will help, but they can still freeze even with a slow drip, but it'll let you know that the pipes are frozen. The other thing that you need to make sure that you're aware of when you do this method is that nothing clogs that sink and that drain is free and clear. Otherwise, you could have a flood on your hands. So very important when you do these slow drip that you understand what is going on and what you're doing there, and you don't, freeze your pipes, and you don't have a flood. And you should always open up both the hot and the cold when you do a slow drip, so that you are getting flow through both those pipes, because one could freeze and not the other, or both of them could freeze. So you want to make sure you open both of them up. The hot water, depending on how your hot water is heated, doesn't always mean that you are going to get like warm pipes all the way up to where your faucet is. If there's not enough flow, unless you have it moving, it's not necessarily protected. Last one is, if you're in a scenario where you lose heat, or you're gone for a long time in a super cold climate, it's not a bad idea to turn off the water. And you can usually turn off the water. You want to turn off at the main shutoff at your house, which is typically in your basement or wherever the water line comes into your home. And you can turn that off. And then what you need to do is you need to drain the water from the system by going to the lowest point in your house where you have a faucet, and you need to let water out. So you got to open up that faucet and drain the water out of the system so that water in there can't freeze. It's still in the pipe. So you need to do that if you plan on turning off the water. And this is good if you're gone for an extremely long time, or maybe you lose heat. You don't have a way to heat your house, or you have a vacant house. You want to make sure you turn off the water. Now, you could still have the main pipe freeze in your house. If it gets cold enough, it can still happen. So that will protect you down to certain temperatures. And if you're gone, it's a safer way, because then you're only going to have a leak from where that main is and below. But you do need to do that in order to prevent a larger scale disaster. And even though you've turned off the water, you got to think of it this way. There are pipes that freeze that are buried underground for the municipal utilities, which are 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12 inches. And those are covered by ground, which is actually a fairly good insulator in most cases. And they still freeze and break. So this will help you for a period of time, but you still need heat. You still need to get it up to a certain temperature to prevent your pipes from freezing. So overall, I recommend Smart Thermostat as the #1 easiest way to keep your pipes from freezing. Smart sensors, so you can get them that come with the thermostat like this, or some security systems also have these freeze sensors. So the Ring security system has this flood freeze sensor, which will also work for you to prevent your pipes from freezing. Insulate your pipes, open your cabinets, doesn't cost you anything. Slow drip doesn't cost you anything, but you want to make sure that you've got a free, clear drain. And turn off the water. And that's if you have a complete furnace failure for a period of time, or you're going to be gone a long time. You can turn off the water, but you got to drain it too out of the system. Otherwise, you're going to still have water in your pipes and it can freeze. So you need to make sure that you drain it out from the lowest point by opening up a faucet in your basement or a spigot or whatever you've got down there. So we hope you enjoyed this video. Please keep your pipes from freezing, like and subscribe. Thank you.